Welcome to this explainer. Today we are unpacking some incredibly fascinating source material from the author Florence Scovel Shinn, and we are going to kick things off with a pretty bold claim. If you feel like life is a hard struggle, well, you're simply playing by the wrong rules. Period. We spend so much of our time fighting against the current, but what if the very framework we use to view our lives is fundamentally flawed?
Let's be real for a second and just acknowledge that exhaustion. Do you wake up feeling like you literally have to battle the day? Do you feel like you're constantly fighting obstacle after obstacle? If you're nodding your head right now, you are definitely not alone. But the insights we're exploring today suggest that this exhaustion is actually entirely self-inflicted. It's wild to think about, but it highlights how our own thoughts and our deeply ingrained belief systems are sabotaging us every single day, turning what should be a natural flow of abundance into this exhausting uphill climb.
So Florence Scovel Shinn completely shifts this paradigm. For most of humanity, the absolute default setting is life as a struggle. It's fear-driven, it's draining, and it's all about fighting the world. But flip that framework completely, and you get life as a game of giving and receiving. Life isn't a battlefield, it's a game. And like literally any game, it has highly structured rules. Once you actually learn these mechanics, you can stop acting out of fear and start acting out of a love-driven state of manifestation.
All right, let's look at Rule 1, the game mechanics. Or, life is a game.
If life is a game, consider this your basic, literal tutorial. You just cannot win if you don't know the spiritual laws that govern the board. And this right here is the core mechanic. Whatever a man sows, that shall he also reap. Now, obviously, that's an ancient concept, but Shinn frames it brilliantly as a law of physics for your life. It means that whatever you give out through your words, your actions, your thoughts, will be exactly what is returned to you. If you sow hatred, you receive hatred. If you criticize, you're going to be criticized. But if you give love and deliberately focus on success, that is exactly what the game engine is going to generate and hand right back to you. Moving on to Rule 2, the mind scissors and training the imagination.
Because our outputs dictate our inputs, we absolutely must train our imagination. Why? Well, because your subconscious mind has absolutely no sense of humor. Like, none. It takes everything you imagine completely literally and begins working immediately to make it real, regardless of whether it's a wonderful thing or a terrible thing. To really grasp this, Shinn uses this amazing metaphor, the scissors of the mind. Think of your imagination as a pair of scissors. Day by day, hour by hour, your imagination is constantly cutting out the very pictures you are going to experience in reality. Whatever you are picturing in your mind's eye is literally being snipped out and pasted into your future.
As the quote goes, your imagination is ever cutting, day by day. This just totally emphasizes the vital importance of focusing on success rather than fear. There's this chilling anecdote in the source material of a man who was utterly terrified of a rare, non-contagious disease. He just constantly imagined it. He read articles about it. His mental scissors were cutting out the image of this disease every single day. And what do you think happened? The disease eventually manifested in his body, and he passed away. He was a literal victim of his own unregulated, fear-driven imagination.
Which brings us to Rule 3, the magic wand, or the power of the word.
Okay, so if your imagination is the scissors, your words act as a magic wand that directly commands the universe. Every single time you speak, you are issuing a direct command to your subconscious. And this is brilliantly illustrated by how we sabotage ourselves completely by accident all the time. We use these highly relatable, everyday toxic phrases, things like, I can't afford it, or I will surely catch a cold, I have no luck. When you say these things, your subconscious, which remember has zero sense of humor, just says, okay, command received, let's make sure they can't afford it, let's drop their immune system right now, let's block their luck. These aren't just harmless complaints, they are negative commands acting as a magic wand for your very own downfall.
Speaking of lack fundamentally attracts poverty and failure, whereas speaking of prosperity attracts wealth and success. Think about the cautionary tale of a wealthy woman who just loved to joke that she was preparing to enter the asylum. She just thought it was a funny, self-deprecating quip, but her subconscious took it as a literal directive. Within a few short years, her mental scissors and her magic wand completely ruined her finances, bringing her to a state of absolute lack. You literally cannot afford to joke about failure.
Let's dive into Rule 4, the boomerang effect, which perfectly explains karma. This represents the law of karma. In the game of life, you aren't just bouncing a ball against a wall. You are throwing a boomerang. It's a 3-step process. Step 1. You send out a thought, a word, or an action. Step 2, it goes to work manifesting in your external reality. Step 3, that exact same energy returns to you as a lived experience. The game mechanics here are just perfectly balanced. If you send out a counterfeit bill, which one woman actually did as a practical joke, the law of karma ensures a counterfeit bill is eventually handed right back to you. The universe does not know how to take a joke.
But the absolute most dangerous boomerang you can throw is resentment. Holding on to grudges blocks financial abundance, it heavily clouds your mental vision, and it actually causes physical illness. Things like rheumatism are said to be caused by acidic deposits from unharmonious thoughts. Take the remarkable story of an actress who is suffering from an incurable skin disease. Her entire career was on the line. The root cause? Absolute hatred and deep resentment toward a jealous colleague who had ruined a contract for her. It was only when she finally actively forgave that colleague and literally sent him love that her incurable skin disease vanished entirely.
Because of that, we really have to reframe how we view forgiveness. Forgiveness is quite literally the ultimate cheat code in the game of life. It is a profound act of personal liberation. You aren't forgiving someone as a favor to them. You are doing it as a highly selfish, powerful strategy to unblock your own path, to cure your own body, and to free yourself from negative karma. By forgiving, you snap that boomerang cycle right in half. And finally, Rule 5, winning through non-resistance. This is the ultimate winning strategy. If you truly want to master the game of life, you have to stop fighting your problems. What you resist persists. When you fight an obstacle, when you get really angry at a frustrating situation, you are actually feeding it your own energy. You are handing it power. True power is more like water. Water is perfectly non-resistant, yet it can completely wear away solid rock over time. Instead of fighting a difficult situation, the secret is to accept it, to bless it, and to remove your emotional friction from it. By actually blessing an obstacle, you dissolve its hold on you.
And that brings us to this incredibly powerful affirmation. I cast this burden onto the Christ within, and I go free. Or, in slightly broader terms, passing your overwhelming problems over to your superconscious mind. When your intellect is clouded with fear and doubt, you just cannot force a solution. You have to literally cast the burden off your own shoulders. By totally surrendering the need to intensely control everything around you, you stop resisting, and you effortlessly open the door to attract the health, the wealth, and the love you've been looking for.
So, we've covered the mechanics, the magic wand of your words, the boomerang of karma, and the absolute power of non-resistance. But it all comes back to your own internal workshop. So I want to leave you with this provocative question to really ponder today. Look at your thoughts right in this exact specific moment. What image are your mental scissors cutting out right now? Remember, you are in complete control of your next move in the game of life. Make it a good one.